smooth on one side and rough sawn on the other. Do you need to get a close-up? Can you see the ribs? This is like $3 or $4 for like a 12-foot length. It's cheap. It's got stuff on it. Looks pretty battered up normally. And I'm going to use a wire cup wheel. And this thing was basically found and given to me. And it turns out that it really eats up the wood. So if you can look at the wood here, you can see there's white and then there's darker yellow, or the darker wood is the harder wood. So the cup wheel will remove all the soft stuff and leave the brown. So it gives it that raised grain look. And you don't want to turn it too much like this, otherwise you'll get swirl patterns. So you want to do it on the edge, all right? You don't have to be perfect. You're just making lines. What I'm going to do is, these have a sharp edge on them still, and instead of using the wire cup on them, it seems to tear it up a little too much, so I just use the wood that's on my sawhorse here, and I'll just push some pressure on it, and that'll round over the edge. Maybe it scuffs it up, maybe a little paint gets on it. Just rounds it over just a little bit. Okay, and then put them all together. Just take a piece of wood. I've got some screws, nice sharp screws. Okay, and they should all be pretty much the same. It's okay if they're not, because you don't want a perfect pattern. I just hold them down and make the wormholes. Sometimes you go this way, sometimes you go that way, sometimes you get the edge. Go ahead and show how you can tell that it roughed it up pretty well. You know, that's what flat looks like, and that's what the grain pattern. Now, once we start to put the varnish on, the stain, you're not going to see any of the patterns in there. Okay, toe chains. Now, if you look right here, split them up. You can do that. Doesn't matter what you do, you want to scuff them up. Alright, I did want to show you one other thing, which is how to make it look like the wood is splitting. And I've got just a regular awl. This one's not even that sharp. Okay? And I want to dig into it, and as I dig, I want to lift up and pull out. So I want to start on the edge. I want to dig in. See that? You can dig, make a crack, flip it over, get one on this side. Nice big crack. See that? It's just another little thing that you can do. Make the wood look like it's cracking. Alright, this is what you need. Need some classic gray, number 271. Need some dark walnut, 2716. Just some regular white or off-white latex paint. Off-white. I don't know if that helps anybody at all. But I literally just went to Home Depot and just said, whatever off-white you have, I just needed a sample. This thing was barely $3 or $4, if that. And here's a little bit of water. This is like a regular Walmart cup. You can see how little of water in there. There's maybe 2 tablespoons, if that. Cheap brush. A chipped brush. A cheap chipped brush. Okay. And just 2 basic brushes. And some rags. Okay, so just for the sake of the camera, I've moved my setup over here just so we can see it all in one shot. You're going to use your rag over and over because the more saturated it gets, the better it's going to spread. Now, I found that less is not more on this. Because I've roughed it up and it's not smooth, the stains want to sink into the grain very quickly. If this was smooth, a little bit of stain would spread very far, but it's not, it's roughed up, so we're going to put a lot on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it only in spots, nice and thick, nice and wet, okay? And then whatever spots I don't get with the gray, I'm going to come back and get with the walnut, okay? So let's get started. Remember, we're going to use a lot. Don't be afraid to go crazy with it, okay? I'm turning the brush different ways. Okay, and I'm going to get the sides. Okay, because we don't want the boards showing through. Okay, now I'm going to get in here with the walnut and I'm going to fill in the balance. Okay. Okay. Fill in the difference. Okay. Now I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to start spreading it together. Okay? And if you see a particular spot that you want, maybe you need a little more dark over here, put some more in there. Okay? Put some more in. It's up to you. Wherever you want. Doesn't matter. Okay? Now, this rag's starting to get saturated. That's good. Okay? So now, we're going to take some of the water down. I'm going to get it off there. And we're going to dry it off just a little bit. And just 2 hairs in some air, like Bob Ross used to say. Okay? Just barely get the top. Okay? grain. Okay. Right, now we're going to take one side of this and just very lightly, I'm not trying to push it down, very lightly just going to drag over the top. Okay, drag over the top. Alright, now I'm going to go right into the regular latex. Okay, and I'm still going to dab it. And now I'm going to, once again, come on as thick as I want. Okay. And we're going to knock it down just a little bit. There you go. Now you can touch up the edge if you want. See? Just knock it down. You got an area that you want a little more white or a little more dark, touch it up. There you go. See, like right here, that one. Make a little swirl. Okay. Bleached out from the sun. That's what happens. Okay. And when you're all done, you get a piece of wood that looks like it's sun bleached. Okay, for this last section here, we'll speed it up a bit. But if you notice, I'm starting with the dark first this time. So you can mix it up, because these boards ultimately are going to be next to each other like planks or whatever project you're building. You know, nothing weathers identically throughout. So, you know, one time put the gray as the base down first, the next time put the walnut down. So also, if you notice, I'm going over it a couple times with some gray and some walnut, because if you have a wood that's got a lot of resin or it's a lot of harder parts to the wood, then the stain doesn't soak it up as well, and it kind of just slides across the top, and you have to go in and touch it up a bit. Every piece of wood is different, so you know, you just work with it. And of course, make sure you get the edge, that way in case the planks move around, you know, you have some coloring on the sides, you don't see the bare wood. Sometimes bare wood is fine. It all depends on your project. So here's a side-by-side piece of a plain piece of smooth wood from the lumberyard with just the base coat stain on both of them, and the same piece that's been distressed. You can really see how the grain gets ripped up by that wire brush, that wire cup wheel. And there's a close-up of some distressing with the little wormholes popped in there. Got to make sure you rough up the edges. See, some of the bare wood shows through and it looks good. Every piece of wood is different. There's my finished project. There's the Rustic Driftwood Entertainment Center we were going for. We have boat cleats for the pulls on the 2 drawers in front, 2 cabinet doors. Got the stereo equipment in there, got a record changer. The record changer pulls all the way out on full extension hardware so my wife can listen to albums. You know, joints in there are loose. There's some gaps in the doors that are left that way intentional. It's supposed to be a weathered look, like it's been on a ship or something, to fit our nautical theme. And here's the side panel. Just a couple extra photos. You can see we've got like some pylons I was testing just out of some logs that I laid on top there. Not sure what kind of decor we're going to put on top yet. Thanks for watching. Good luck.